Yo, what's up, dogs? I'm back. I know I've been away for a little bit. I was under the weather, that kind of cold. I had the cough, I had the sniffles, the boogers. Definitely not camera ready for reviews, so I had to take a little bit of time off, recover. I do have a cough, so I can edit around that. And if you hear some sniffles, I'm sorry. I'm over the hump of it, and we're back to doing reviews. So let's get on to the review for Five Nights at Freddy's. I saw this when it came out weeks ago now on a Thursday. I think I went at like the 9:50 showing, and I ordered my ticket online. And when I saw the layout for picking my seats, it was packed. So I was excited to go and see this film. Getting to the theater, I brought a tea with myself. I did have a nap beforehand. The theater was packed. It was great. It was that good old energy of a packed theater. You know what I'm talking about? Like, people were there to see a film, and it was Five Nights at Freddy's. And I went to the theater in the East End because it wasn't playing anywhere else, surprisingly. So I went over there, got to my seat. Luckily, I actually had a buffer seat, so I had one seat beside me that was open so I could stretch a little bit, and everything was taken to the right of me. And so I just got in, got comfy, and it was a busy crowd. It was nice. It was a good crowd of like everybody who likes horror movies, and definitely people who are fans of Five Nights at Freddy's. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. My knowledge of Five Nights at Freddy isn't that extensive. Now, I know the video game, and I only know the core video game, especially because, like, being a game designer, you got to pay attention to those things, especially back in the day. And I do remember that game coming out, and just, like, having a very slow build and momentum of popularity, and then it became popular on YouTube, became popular on Twitch, and it just became a thing. And I never personally played the game, but I know the game mechanics of the game. It's pretty much a jump scare game, which is cool. So I was actually kind of surprised that they decided to make a movie out of that idea, but it's not a bad idea. That game really lends itself to film because it is a horror game in a sense, or a thriller type game. So going into the movie, my bar is incredibly low, super low, and the crowd buzzing, energy was there, and I can't wait to talk about it. I got notes, get them ready here. We're going to start first. Let's talk about the budget of this film. So it only cost $20 million to make. And I think that's quite impressive. And it shows on the screen, too, that all the money went into this movie. There's only X amount of set pieces, and then you actually have Freddy Fazbear's pizza joint that is the main set piece, obviously. The rest of the set pieces in this film are just like, someone's house, someone else's house, an office space, the mall. But the big set piece where the money was really spent is definitely inside Freddy Fazbear's pizza. I don't know why it's not called a pizzeria, but it's called a pizza. But that's his pizza. It should be called pizzeria if it's an establishment where you go to hang out, right? Isn't that what? I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too much into that. And also, the money definitely went into the CGI side of things, but the animatronics and the actual Jim Henson company worked on the puppetry. So there's like this extra level of just like really nice. It just felt real and lived in. You know what I'm saying? I like animatronics, and I do enjoy good puppetry. So seeing that just makes it feel very believable and grounded to the real world. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's crazy to think about possessed animatronics going wild, but like seeing it like in a physical form and not in CGI, it just helps you. Just helps your imagination go with the flow of things, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So the box office so far is actually ridiculously crazy. Its domestic haul, as of me recording this, is $113.2 million, and the international international box office is at $102.5 million, bringing us to a total of $215 million. Really, $0.7 million, which is ridiculous. This movie has made its money back and then some, which makes me wonder, will we get a sequel? I don't even know if they've announced the sequel yet, but I think they probably will. I think they would probably consider it. Like, this movie's making crazy money, and I wonder how much more money it could possibly make. Like, I think its theater run should be done soon, right? Like we're into November now. It's Christmas season. Let's get those holiday movies out. But this movie's still making money. And you know what's really crazy about this film too? I can't believe it's actually made this much money, and it's out on Peacock right now. Like you could watch. You don't have to go to the theater to see this movie. You can go and just watch it at home. It's already out. And I think that's weird that it's made this much money, and you can still watch it for your subscription fee on Peacock, and it's made this much money. It's a thinker, this one. Why is that happening? However, the fan base to Five Nights at Freddy's is just big. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't expect it to be this big personally. So maybe those people who are Five Nights fans are like, we don't own Peacock, so we have to see it in the theater. It's an interesting idea. I don't know. So speaking of the rabid fan base for this movie, let's get to the critics real quick here. We have the Rotten Tomatoes score. The critics gave this total so far is down to 30% rotten. But the user audience score, 88%, which checks out. My audience loved this film. The Metacritic down to a 33 out of 100 on the critic side, and at 8.0 on the user side, which checks out. It all aligns. The cinema score is at an A-, which is wild. I like it. Like I'm just impressed. I'm impressed by how this movie is doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just impressed. We could just be impressed by this, right? And I personally, on my letterbox, you can follow me on Popcorn Beard. I gave it 2 stars. You can be mad at me for giving it 2 stars. That is okay. We can talk about it because there's things in this movie that I like, and there's a lot of things in this movie that I don't like. But there is actually some really good things in this movie that I like, which saved it. It saved it for me. I might actually go up to a 2.5 stars because this movie is okay. But the dumb things that happen in this movie really bring it down for me, and that's where I'm at with it. Okay, honestly. So the director here is Tammi. I've never seen anything directed by her yet, so this is my first time being introduced to her. And you know what? Good job. She did. There's some stuff that that's done in this movie that she directed that is actually really tense and suspenseful that I liked and I appreciated. But there's things in this movie that are absolutely absurd and dumb that I don't like. Probably not her fault, you know what I'm saying? It's just dumb. But what she did do is cool. And I actually hope she gets called back for the sequel if they do announce a sequel, because she deserves it. Because this movie made $250 million. She should come back. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about the story, okay? Now, we start off with our character here. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, get ready for spoilers. You know what's going to happen, but I'm just warning you right now. But here we go, okay? And you Five Nights at Freddy fans out there, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on certain things, okay? Because there's a lot of lore in this game, in this universe, in this franchise that I didn't even know about. So there's things about this franchise that I'm really interested about and very curious about. So, okay. Let's get into this. We start off our story with our hero, Mike, who is played by Josh Hutcherson. And Mike is just a regular dude. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to make ends meet. He goes from job to job. Like, he can't hold the job down. He has problems with sleeping because he has reoccurring nightmares. And there's a lot of trouble in his past that he's dealing with, which really makes him just kind of just very downtrodden, you know, beaten down. And he's just living this life, paycheck to paycheck, and he has motivations in his life of why he is what drives him, and we learn about these things because he has to take care of his little sister, who is her name is Abby, which is played by Piper Rubio, and there's no parents in his life. He is the sole guardian of Abby, so that's what drives him to keep on trying to work. You know what I'm saying? So we take we catch up with our hero working as a mall security guard, and he sees what looks like a grown adult kidnapping a child. So he chases down this adult and tackles him into the wishing well and beats the crap out of him. And as we learn from Mike's dreams, we understand where he comes from when it comes to child predators and why he was so violent to this person. Because in Mike's own life, he lost his little brother, Garrett, to a child predator. And this has been haunting him and his dreams for his whole life. And he lost his little brother when he was really, really young. Like, let's say 13, maybe younger than that, maybe 11, 12, somewhere in that range, where he lost his little brother. And he blames himself for this to this day as an adult. So this is like something that really just lingers with him, and it triggers him, and he went over the edge and beat the crap out of this guy. So he gets fired. Now, losing his job, he knows he has to try and get another job, or else he's going to lose his sister. And we have a character in this movie named Aunt Jane, who's played by Mary Stuart Masterson. And she is mean, okay? She confronts Mike and is literally like threatening Mike over guardianship. And if he keeps losing his jobs and all this stuff, like, he's a loose cannon, he's violent, she doesn't trust Mike being around Abby, but really she's very nefarious. She's not a trustworthy aunt at all. She's not a good person. And even Mike addresses this when they actually have a meeting with the lawyers and the family therapist and stuff. And he like knows that all she wants is the paycheck that comes with Abby, which is probably just like some tax refund, baby bonus or something like that. But we don't really know what the money side of things is, but Mike feels like that's the motivating factor for Aunt Jane to be in Abby's life. And Abby doesn't like her at all. Abby loves her older brother Mike. She wants nothing but success for Mike, and she just loves him. She's a little girl. She's like 10, and she thinks the world of him. She doesn't want to be separated with him. She is like kind of like a little bit of a motivation factor. Whenever Mike seems to be down on his luck, he has his little sister there. And she's special, by the way. She can see ghosts. Well, we don't know they're actually ghosts right away, because like she's drawing all these pictures and she says she has friends, and we assume that they're just imaginary friends. And even Mike just assumes they're imaginary friends. And those imaginary friends don't really like Mike, but we also kind of assume that Abby is having like, a bad day. So her imaginary friends are having a bad day too, because she just says, kids have bad days. She's not liking school. And so Mike has to go and try for another job. So he goes to the job bank, and we meet up with Steve Raglan, who's played by Matthew Lillard. And this is a job employment specialist, and he's dealt with Mike many, many times. He knows Mike, and he kind of is just like, why'd you do this time? I'm finding it hard to find you jobs. He's played out as a character that is on Mike's side to a degree. Now, Mike's desperate at this point in time, and Steve is like, I have one job left that maybe you can do. And the good thing about this job is there's no one around to trigger you, So you get to work alone, you work nights, and Mike's like, I don't want to work nights. He's not a night guy because he can't sleep properly, He has a hard time sleeping. And like, so he pretty much rejects the idea of working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. I'm calling it a pizzeria. And he pretty much rejects the idea of that. But then when he gets home and he hangs out with his sister, she's like, again, it's just like the little wholesome moment of like, oh man, I got to do it for her. You know what I'm saying? And also we are introduced to another character here, which is the babysitter, which her name is Max, and she's played by Kat Connor Sterling. And this is just a babysitter who is in the, like, I think she actually has a little bit of a thing for Mike, but she's there. She always watches Abby, and she's just there. there's not really a lot to this character until a certain point in this movie where you'll see. So Mike is like, I gotta do this, and he explains it to Abby. He's like, this is the job. I'm gonna be doing nights. I hope, like, we gotta do this so we can stay together. So he accepts the job, and he goes to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria for the first time, and it's like the first half of this movie, not even half, like let's say 30 minutes. Wait, how long is this movie? Oh yeah, it's an hour and 49 minutes. It's PG-13. I'll get to that too. So like the first chunk of this movie, maybe 20 or so minutes, really just spends time setting up Mike and all these auxiliary characters and stuff like that. And then once we get to Freddy's Fazbear's Pizzeria, this is when we start getting introduced to the pizzeria and the characters that are within it. We also get, I actually have to point out one quick thing in here. There is a certain thing about Mike. He's really into lucid dreaming, because he believes that he can repeat the dream and the memories of what happened on that day that his brother got stolen or kidnapped, and he thinks he could find clues as to who did it if he keeps reoccurring these nightmares, and if he can lucid enough to like traverse it enough to bring out these memories that are locked in his own mind. And he's a firm believer in this, and he's trying to unlock this memory so he could find his brother, or find even the murderer, the kidnapper, and bring this person to justice, So this is like another character piece of him, where he's every time at night, he's like, I gotta go to sleep. That's why he doesn't want to work nights, is because he's got to go to sleep so he can dream and try and figure out his brother's whereabouts and his kidnapper's whereabouts as well. So when he works at Fazbear's, I think the first night is just like him figuring out what the layout is, seeing the animatronics for the first time, and the animatronics seeing him for the first time too. And there's a jump scare in there with this weird clown thing, and I know it's from the video game, the clown. I wonder if the audio is from the video game, but I just know that clown thing is. And the jump scare worked. Everybody around me jumped. I jumped too. Hey, I'll admit it. I jumped. I wasn't expecting him to pop up like that, which was hilarious. And the jump scare with the audience was hilarious. We all laughed and stuff. It was a fun time. I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. I had a fun time with this audience. You know what? They were rowdy. They were talkative, but they were fun. Like when the jump scares happened, everyone jumped. When there was someone behind me who was like literally like going, "Oh, please don't go down there." And we'll get to that section. But there was like, that kind of fun with an audience that's just into a horror movie. And that's what this crowd was. And I had a really good time with them, It was just funny listening to them. Like it didn't take away from the experience. It actually kind of, added a little bit of fun to the experience. And that's what happens sometimes when you get a nice full crowd that's really just buying into this world that's being presented to us. You can have a good time in there. So on Steve's first day at Freddy's, he's like, learning about the place and stuff like that. We are introduced to another character named Vanessa, who is played by Elizabeth Lail. And she's just a local cop. And she knows a lot about the pizzeria and its history. And she kind of educates Mike on just everything about this place. And she shows him the animatronics and all that stuff too. And she says like, I know she gives him a warning about the place, but he's just like, yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. And so she leaves. He has a dream. Like he falls asleep in Fazbear's, and he has his first dream where he encounters like farther than he's ever gone before. Now he sees these 5 kids, right? I think it's 5 kids. Yeah, 5 kids. And the first kid that he comes in contact with has a hook, and he scratches him. And then what happens is when he wakes up, he has a scratch on his arm now, and I think Vanessa takes care of it. I might be time skipping a little bit here. Maybe that was the second or third time he's gone back to the house. But now he's learning that what happens in the dream can happen to him in real life. So Vanessa's there, wraps the wound, and they have a conversation. So after his first successful night, he comes back home. He tells her, just updates the babysitter on it and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, I'm going to keep the job. I'm going to keep going back. And Abby's like, I want to go with you. I want to go and hang out with you. She just wants to be with her brother. That's all it really is. And he's like, no, you can't. You know, it's too dangerous. You know, you got school and stuff like that. I'll have the babysitter come. And like Abby's a little put off of it, you know what I'm saying? And so she complains and goes into her room. And then we have like this little side thing where out of the blue, we have the Aunt Jane at a diner with Kat, right? Sorry, Max, the babysitter, and her brother, and I think it's her brother. And they're having this meeting. So the aunt is like, we need you to break into Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, tear it apart so it looks like Mike doesn't know how to do his job, so he can get fired, and then that way the aunt can take custody of Abby, and that's like a plan. And the kids, like the babysitter's like, okay, let's do that. But it's so weird. It's such a weird character flip where I'm like, why would you do that? Because the character to me is presented as someone that actually likes Mike and the family and kind of wants to maybe have a romantic like relationship with Mike. But it just comes off so weird that they did this pivot with this character. And I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. So she's dragged along. Like she's kind of like dragged along, but also a part of it. And they go to Freddy's during the day and break into the pizzeria, which is weird. Like, who does a B&E during the day? I wouldn't, especially in an area where the local town cop goes by all the time. Like, are you crazy? Like, she would see your truck or two outside and go, hey, no one's supposed to be here. And you'd get caught. It's a stupid plan. And it just looks like they do it right out front too. It's not smart. It's not smart. However, I'll get to this. I'll get to this. So they break in during the daylight, and the animated robots come to life that are possessed by children. By the way, I didn't point that part out. The ghost children are possessing these robots that are in Mike's dreams. So these children have gone missing as well. I'm sorry, I forgot that Vanessa tells the story about like these about the reasoning why Fazbear's is closed down in the first place is because like 5 children went missing from this place and they couldn't find them, so the owner was forced to close it down. Now it turns out that those 5 children are dead, and they are actually ghosts that have possessed the animatronics that are in the pizzeria. And the kids, those 5 kids, are in the dreams that are showing up in Mike's dreams. And those kids, like I said, possess the animatronics. So when the gang of ruffians break in, the animatronics come to life, which is possessed by ghosts, and they go and kill the ruffians. Now, all the kills in this movie absolutely suck and are not horror related or gory or cool or scary. The only thing is moderately scary is the jump scare of the hand coming out of Fazbear's mouth. That's it. And that's in the trailer. The kill itself is actually a silhouette, and it's garbage. It looks cool in the silhouette because it chomps them in half, but like it's just garbage. All the horror elements in this film are absolutely garbage. And that's one reason why I've given this movie a 2. Because I wanted some scares. It's a horror movie, but it's a PG-13 horror movie by Blumhouse, and I should have known better. He fooled me again. Curse you, Blumhouse. I totally get it, but whatever. I get it. PG-13 horror, whatever. I think I'm done with PG-13 horror, by the way. Anyways, so we get that murder sequence. I actually liked the one character when I wrote him down. The little Mr. M Cupcake. I don't know if it's Mr. or Mrs. Cupcake. I didn't write that part down. I like that little thing. It was hilarious. There's a lot of good gags in this movie. I do have to say that this movie is funny. So, anyways, I gotta wrap this up. So Mike spends more time in the pizzeria, and Abby starts joining him as well. And this is where Abby starts making a connection with the ghost kids that are in the animatronics, right? And this is actually a fun scene or two where she actually plays with them, the animatronics, the murdering animatronics, and it's very kind of tense and suspenseful because we can't trust them. We can't trust these ghost kids. And we kind of think like, are they going to kill her at any minute? Like it's really well done. I actually like that sequence of them just building like a play fort together, and like like Mike's playing with them, Vanessa's playing with them, Abby's playing with them. So like it's really weird and it's cool, but it's like it's super suspenseful. I'm sitting there going, oh man, I don't know when they're going to kill her. When are they going to do this? So Mike continues to have dreams, and he's making a connection with the little kid. It was listed on IMDb as Blonde Ghost Kid. Who's played by Grant Freely, and looks like the leader of the kids, and he wants to make a trade with Mike for, I'll give you information on the whereabouts of Garrett if you give us Abby. And by giving Abby, that means it's a trade for her life. And weirdly enough, Mike agrees to do this. And it's absurd. It's just like, what? You love your sister. Like, you love her. And, like, man, it just rubbed me the wrong way. He's like, yeah, okay, let's do that. And then, as the movie goes on, he has a change of heart. I'm just like, come on. This is so stupid. And they like, it's so stupid. The last act of this movie where Mike has a change of heart, and then so Mike has a change of heart, and he's captured, and he's in this torture chamber device, which is really cool. He breaks out of it, and now he's going to fight the animatronics. And as he's fighting these animatronics, and he's using electricity to kill them, there is a new character that shows up, which isn't really new, who is Steve Raglan shows up, and he's dressed as the Yellow Bunny. Wait, is that a character? Yellow Rabbit. Yeah, or also known as Spring Bonnie. I had to write that down. And it turns out that the Yellow Rabbit, Steve, is the murderer / kidnapper of children. And he's the one that kidnapped all 5 of the children, and Garrett as well. And it also turns out that he is actually somehow in control of the ghost children because they're afraid of him. They fear him, so he's in control of them. But as the fight goes on, we have Vanessa show up and save the day as well. Because it turns out that Vanessa, this is weird, Vanessa knew the entire time that her father was the murderer of the 5 children and Garrett. And there's a cool photo of her as a child with her father and the little toy airplane that Garrett had. And I thought that was a sweet like detail, just on a murder side of things. And I was just like, oh damn, this is cool. And I know there's gonna be people out there that'll be like, yo dog, we saw this coming a mile away. But you know what? I was just enjoying the movie. And I'm like, oh damn, she knows. And then it made me think about it, because I was like, how did those bodies get like the ruffians from earlier disappear, and how has no one called the cops to find these people, like put a missing report in? And it's because she got rid of the bodies, and she's a cop, so she got rid of the case for her dad. It's so many layers. I actually really enjoyed that aspect, and that's why it gets 2. So there's things in this movie that I actually genuinely liked. Story-wise, there's certain elements, but the whole thing together, I don't know, something's missing. I could be easily swayed to go 2.5 stars for sure, but like something's missing. I don't know what it is. I think it's just like the general story structure of it, and there's certain elements of the movie where I'm just like, what? Why? You know? And if I had to ask myself why one too many times, that's not good. It's just like, why? Why'd you write that? So, in general, the end of the movie goes as Vanessa shoots her father multiple times, and he gets stuck in the rabbit suit and dies. And that's her, like, her arc of redemption, so to speak, for doing all these. She's done some heinous things for her father, but she killed him, so we're cool, you know. And the children, the ghost children are not necessarily free from their, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they're not free from their animatronic possessions, right? And now it looks like they're going to be the keeper of the yellow rabbit and keep him under control or torture him or something like that. I don't know how that ending works, but the children are still inside the robots. Fazbear's Pizzeria is still standing. Mike still has Abby. Vanessa has Mike. She could be a villain. I could see her being a villain in the second one. Something cool could happen with her. But, like, yeah, that was the whole movie. I think the end credit scene was, post-credit scene was like a jump scare, which was funny. Yeah, it's like, the movie's okay. That's the end of my review, really. The movie's okay. Would I consider buying it? Probably not. I don't think so. I don't think I need to see it again. Yeah, which sucks. Do I think you should see it? Yeah, you know what? Digital download, go see it on Peacock. Go see it in the theater. I don't know if there's still a big crowd going to see the movie, but, you know, if you get a chance to see it with a bunch of people, it's going to be a fun time. Or, you know what, just wait, stream it. It's already out there for streaming, like I said. So stream it, you know, watch it, give it a chance. It's not that bad. It's an okay film, and it'll be good for next year's Halloween, like if you wanted another Halloween movie to watch. But, like, PG-13 horror is just not for me, surprisingly. Anyways, that's the end of my review. Gotta go watch some more movies because we're on break. Yes! So I'll see you guys later. Whatever movie you guys are watching, I hope you're loving them and digging them. I'm out of here. Peace out. Bye.